I came home on a Tuesday, dropped my keys in the bowl by the door, and got a "you're loud" without her looking up from the couch. The TV glowed. Her phone glowed. Silnea. Dinner? Nothing. Question about my day? Only if you count a sigh. I put my briefcase down and stood there, waiting for any sign she noticed I existed. Something wrong? I asked. You left your coffee cup in the sink this morning. Again. She scrolled. You're not helpless, Mark. I rinsed it, I said. You rinsed it wrong. That was the first time it felt different. Not off, not tired, not, we've both had a long week. Different. She didn't crack a smile at her own jab. She didn't even look at me. I watched the reflection in the TV, me standing, her sunk into her blanket fortress. We weren't a team. We were a set piece and an audience. If I'd known where it was headed, I'd tell you later, I would have bought popcorn. I grabbed a rotisserie chicken from the fridge, set 2 plates. She didn't move. You eating? I tried again. Already did, she said. Protein shake. Got it. I put her plate back, cut a piece for myself. The knife clicked. She muted the TV just long enough to toss one more line. Don't forget to wipe the counter. That greasy glaze sticks. I wiped the counter. Not because I'm trained. Because I like things clean. And because I still thought this was a mood, not a trend. We used to be the couple people pointed to at barbecues. Quiet, easy, no drama. We didn't perform affection, we just had it. We had a rhythm. Lately, it was like she changed the song and didn't tell me. I went upstairs early. She didn't come up until after midnight. By Thursday, the jokes came sharp. She watched me tie my shoes and threw a smile that never reached her eyes. You do realize those laces make you look like a camp counselor? Good thing I can pitch a tent, I said, shrugging. You still need me to put up those shelves? We'll see if you have time for house projects between your important emails. Your tone's off, I told her, calm. If you're aiming for funny, it's not landing. Relax. It's teasing. You take everything personally. I take respect personally. She rolled her eyes. You're so dramatic. Not dramatic. Clear. I put my wallet in my pocket. Your jokes stop at the door. Or what? She laughed once. You'll write me up? No. I'll rework my calendar. Fewer shared plans. Fewer opportunities for this format. I nodded at the room like we were in a meeting. No access, no problem. You're unbelievable. I'm adaptable. I gave her a kiss on the head anyway, because I still played fair. She flinched like I'd smudged her makeup. I checked my watch and headed out. At work, Nate from my team leaned against my doorway. Mid-40s, sarcastic, baseline tired like me. He glanced at my face and whistled low. You look like you lost a bet. Home's getting loud in a quiet way, I said. That's a talent. She calls it teasing. He raised an eyebrow. And you call it mislabeling. You gonna set a line? Set it. She called me dramatic. He smirked. Well, don't soften just because she goes sweet next. They all do a soft shoe right after you draw a boundary. Appreciate the prophecy, I told him, and went back to actual problems I could solve. That night, I got the first soft turn. She was waiting at the dining table with my favorite takeout, candles, even the linen placemats we never used. I figured you had a long day, she said. Thoughtful, I answered. And about this morning, she added, I didn't mean it like it sounded. How did you mean it? Like fun. She poured water, set the glass by my right hand. I'll dial it back. Not asking for jokes with a limiter, I said. I'm asking for respect without a thermostat. She blew out one candle. You make everything mechanical. I make everything simple. We ate. She asked about a client call. I answered. We had a calm hour. My guard lowered half an inch. Then she checked her phone and tightened her jaw. Work text. I said. New project. Our director's pushing the deadline. You're on a salary. He can wait until morning. It's a window, Mark. If I deliver now, I get the best slot. I'm not explaining corporate timing to you. She stood, kissed my temple like a pat on the head. I'll work from the bedroom. Office has a desk, I pointed out. I like the light in there. She took her laptop upstairs. I cleared the plates. I told myself, she made dinner. She apologized. People get stressed. Be fair. At midnight, I went up. She was working, but the cursor on her screen flashed on a chat window. I didn't read it. I didn't need to. I slept on my side, listening to keyboard taps until 2. The next week, she rewrote the rules again. We had plans with our neighbors Saturday, Patel's Backyard Burgers, The usual. She announced at noon, already dressed, hair like a magazine cover. I may be late. Work thing. I looked up from sweeping the garage. This work thing has a name? Private, but important. You're married to me, not a non-disclosure. You're not funny. Not trying. I leaned the broom against the wall. We go together. We leave together. That's the plan. That's controlling. That's coordination. The Patels scheduled food. I promised to help Dave with the grill. I'll meet you there. You'll ride with me, I said evenly. Or I'll text Dave we're off. I'm not checking my phone every 10 minutes during someone else's cookout. She crossed her arms. You're canceling for them because I might be late? I'm canceling for me because I don't stand around explaining your absence. I pulled out my phone, thumbed a message to Dave. Something came up. Rain check. Call me tomorrow. I showed her the screen so there was no mystery. I protect my name with our friends. You're punishing me. I'm setting a schedule. She huffed. 10 minutes later, she drifted into a lighter tone. Okay, I get it. I'll tell you next time. Today is just sensitive. Understood, I said. And since we've cleared the afternoon, I'm taking the truck to Nate's shop to help him with shelving. Oven's yours. She blinked. We had chores. We reprioritized, I said. You can tackle yours. I'll do mine on my terms. She didn't like the mirror. No one does the first time. But she didn't stop me. That was the point. At Nate's shop, I sank into real work. Lumber, levels, screws. Manual things tell the truth. He handed me a drill and nodded at my phone. You left it on the bench. On purpose. You're serious. New rule, I said. I'm reachable on my schedule. He smirked. Welcome to the club, President of Boundaries. We mounted the last shelf. My phone buzzed 6 times where it lay. I didn't look. When I finally checked, there were 2 texts from her. Running late. Don't wait dinner. And another. Don't make this a thing. I texted back one line. Not a thing. A standard. At 11, she slipped into the house with restaurant air clinging to her. Makeup perfect. Laugh still in her bones. She reeked of, we had fun without you. Like she wanted me to smell it. You missed a great event, she said, hanging her coat. I didn't miss anything that was mine, I said. How's your sensitive project? It's going places. Who's we? She busied herself with the coat buttons. Team. Names. Why are you interrogating me? Because team doesn't smell like oysters and bourbon, I answered. It smells like stale conference rooms. It was a work dinner. And I'm Santa. She waved me off. You're ridiculous. Maybe, but I'm not stupid. I nodded at the hallway. Shower. Separate towels. I'm not sharing that perfume. She paused like that detail offended her more than anything else. Then she went upstairs. I stood in the kitchen and listened to water hit tile. Her phone on the counter lit up with a text. Thanks for tonight. Let's repeat. I didn't touch it. I didn't need a selfie. I needed a decision. The decision took root right then. Not an explosion, just a click inside, like a deadbolt sliding home. Monday, I tried fair one more time. The jokes and the vanishing. I told her over scrambled eggs will end. Not because I pout. Because I won't host them in my life. You're overreacting, she said. You've been at a 9 on the disrespect dial. I'm at a 3 on the response. You always have to measure everything. It keeps me honest. She pushed her plate away. You're suffocating me. I'm giving you air, I said. Take as much as you want. Just don't expect me standing there breathing it for you. She grabbed her bag. You're so dramatic. Don't be late tonight, I added. We have money talk at 7. What money talk? The kind where we separate accounts. You get your lane. I get mine. Shared bills get funded on the 1st of the month, fully automated. No gray areas. She laughed, loud and dismissive. I make more than you, Mark. Good, I said. You can handle a bigger percentage of the shared bills if you want. Or we can do it 50-50. But the part where I subsidize your work dinners is over. Now you're insulting me. No. I'm telling you I'm done paying for contempt. She walked out with a head shake. At 7, she didn't show. At 8, she texted, don't wait up. I went to the bank app, created a new checking, moved my direct deposit. I set an automatic transfer for the mortgage and utilities and left the old joint account with a modest float. Then I slept. Clear beats, tortured. The next night, she came home early with a different tone. Soft voice, careful distance, like talking to a skittish horse. I've been pushing too hard, she said. Work's been insane. I've been edgy. True. I shouldn't bring it here. Also true. She put a hand on my arm. Can we reset? I made your lunch for tomorrow. She nodded at the fridge. Turkey, no mayo. Thanks, I said. We can reset with the same rules. Account split. Schedule's clear. And the jokes? Retired. You're making us transactional. I'm making us adult. She leaned into me. I miss you, she said, breath warm. Let me fix this. I let her hug me. It melted a layer of ice I'd installed on purpose. It didn't dissolve the core. I still slept sound. 2 nights later, she drifted home after midnight, hair smoothed, lipstick retouched, a trace of cologne not mine. She headed for the kitchen for water. I was at the table with a file open, spreadsheet lit. You're up? She said like I'd broken a rule. I had numbers to finish. Don't do that passive-aggressive thing. I'm doing math, I said. You're projecting tone on Excel. She rolled her eyes and went upstairs. The shower came on. Her phone, face down on the counter, buzzed to life again. Same contact name. Same message mold. Thanks. Repeat. I stared at the ceiling. No shouting. No detective act. But the private theater had to end. In the morning, she ran late. I poured coffee, set a travel mug by the door. We're touring your office at lunch, I told her. We what? Dropping by, I said. Meeting the director you're always mentioning. I'll bring cookies. That's inappropriate, she said fast. I'll be quick. Wave hello, put a face to a name. You're being invasive. I'm being relational. Her jaw set. Don't come to my job. Then stop bringing your job home like it's a third person, I answered. Pick one boundary, mine or yours. She stormed out, heels beating the hardwood. I followed at my pace. Noon, I took a coffee holder with 2 lids, a peace offering and a statement, and drove to her building. Glass lobby, polished metal, people pretending they weren't always behind. I checked in at the desk, here to see their director. Name? The receptionist asked without looking up. Mark Collins. I gave Jordan, the security guard, a nod. He nodded back because I treated him like a person earlier in the week when I stopped by to drop off a charger. I'm family, I added. 2 minutes later, I was up on her floor, walking past a line of conference rooms with fishbowl windows. And there she was, in a glass box, leaning into a tall man with perfect hair and a shirt too crisp for spreadsheets. They were too close. The way she smiled wasn't office. It was audition. The nameplate on the door answered a question I didn't like having. Director, James Hoxson. 2 beats. That was enough. He saw me first. You must be her husband. I finished for him, stepping in. I held out the coffee tray like a courier. A latte for the man of the hour. Mark, she said, a laugh swinging high, too big, too wide. Wow, what a surprise. He grinned at her. You didn't tell me he was coming. He's temporary, she tossed, for careless syllables aimed right at me. Silence hit the room like a cold draft. She stared at me, testing whether I'd make a scene. I didn't. I put the coffee on his desk, straightened the cardboard holder, and looked my wife in the eye. Your time's up. Then to him, mild. Good evening. Let's repeat it, right? I let that hang. Then I turned and left. No dramatics. Just a clock ticking down. Mark, wait, she called, following into the hallway. People turned. She caught my sleeve. Don't you dare humiliate me here. I removed her hand like a key from a lock. You handled that yourself, I said, and kept moving. The elevator was slow. The hallway was long. She kept pace. You're overreacting, she tried. It's a joke. Your humor's expensive, I said. I'm done buying. Lobby. Outside. Cool air. My phone chimed before I hit the truck. Her messages followed like hailstones. You misunderstood. He's my boss. You embarrassed me. We need to talk. I didn't answer. I drove to a hotel near our place, paid for 2 nights, and booked a meeting with a lawyer through a referral Nate texted without a lecture. Clean exit, he wrote. No speeches. I slept for the first time in 3 weeks. Morning came simple. Shower. Black coffee from the lobby machine that tasted like cardboard and relief. At 9 sharp, I sat across from a woman who wore steel under a friendly tone. What's your end state? She asked. Peace, I said, and making sure my name isn't parked against a situation I didn't sign up for. We can do efficient, she said. We can do generous. But we can't do both. Efficiency first. I slid over a page with the new account setup, The transfer schedule. I already split finances. She skimmed. You think through steps. I prefer steps to speeches. Good, she said, tapping a pen. Then let's step through. By afternoon, papers were drafted. I read every line. No court. No fireworks. Just the quiet filing of a life into folders. Hers, mine, what stays, what goes. At 5, I texted her one line. Papers sent. Pack your things and vacate the house by Friday. Then I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and went down to the hotel gym to remind my body it wasn't just a head with problems. At 7, she lit me up. Mark, stop. This is crazy. We need to talk. You promised better. At 9, a longer one. I'll fix it. I'll quit the project. I'll cut the late nights. Just come home. At 10, a final. Please. I put the phone face down and turned out the light. Not out of cruelty. Out of respect for my decision. The next day I swung by the house when she was at work. I grabbed my essentials, a couple of framed photos I actually liked, and left the fancy candle she loved on the counter with a note. Courtesy. Not a favor. I checked the garage. Empty on her side. She'd started moving. Good. Adult to adult. That evening, I got a call from her best friend Kara. She's blunt, loyal to a fault, and likes mixing into things that aren't hers. You're blowing up a marriage over office politics? She opened. I'm ending a situation where I'm mocked on the record, I said. You saw the video? What video? Ask her, I said. Ask how funny she found her line. Mark, she stressed. Promotions do that. Promotions reward results, not disrespect. You're punishing her for ambition. I'm removing myself from her PR campaign. Kara sighed. Fine. She's crying. She says she'll stop. She has full control of her choices, I replied. She doesn't have control of mine. Kara hung up with a muttered, You're being cold. I like being called cold when the alternative is being called a rug. She signed 2 days later. She moved out to her parents' place across town. The house got quiet in a way that felt honest. I walked from room to room and found nothing arguing with me. I slept 8 hours without waking to a phone glow. On day 4, my phone rang with an unknown number. I know better, but I answered. Her voice, raw. They let me go. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the wall where our anniversary picture used to hang. It was just blank paint now. That's unfortunate, I said. They said it's about optics, she went on. They said I was compromising the team. They're liars. You did this. You shamed me at work. I didn't shame you, I corrected. You declared me temporary in a glass room. I said one sentence. You ruined everything. She swallowed audibly. I need help with my place. I need money. I can't. I pressed the block button. Not with hate. With finality. I'd heard what I needed to hear. Not remorse. Not respect. Just a request for my wallet. She called from 2 more numbers that week. I didn't pick up. She sent messages through friends. I let silence do the only clean work it does. Meanwhile, life kept moving like a river that doesn't care about your dock. I went back to Nate's shop on Saturdays. We installed a new bench. He asked once, You good? I'm better than I was living on a comedy stage, I said. My neighbor Mrs. Patel caught me one afternoon trimming the hedges. She's kind and misses nothing. We didn't see you last weekend, she said gently. I changed the venue, I answered. She nodded. We like you here. Then, quieter, my doorbell camera sees more than it wants to. You handled yourself well. Appreciate it, I said, and meant it. Witnesses who don't pry are a gift. I met Madison at a volunteer day through work. She runs logistics for a local shelter, no fluff, direct like a memo you want to get. She noticed the torque wrench in my trunk when I gave her a ride to a storage unit. You actually know how to use that? She asked, teasing without cutting. Better than I know how to use half the apps on my phone. Good. We're fixing a busted shelving unit. I need muscle with judgment. Judgment travels light, I said. She laughed in a way that felt like a handshake, not like a test. We got coffee afterward. She didn't ask about my past, and I didn't talk about it. Later, when she did ask, she listened and didn't turn it into a trial. We built a pattern. Sunday morning hikes, weekday dinners we actually scheduled and kept. No triangulation with phones. If she was late, she said how late and why. When I made a rule, she didn't roll her eyes. She negotiated or accepted. Mutual respect is boring on paper and undefeated in practice. 2 weeks after the papers finalized, Kara texted me a screenshot she shouldn't have because loyalty leaks when drama dries up. A company memo, leadership changes, a line about maintaining professionalism, a list of departures. That was the job my wife had chased with late nights and inside jokes. Gone now. The comments from coworkers were as sterile as hospital paint. Here's the thing about certain kinds of power. They work until someone opens a window. I didn't reply to Kara. I didn't gloat. I kept building my schedule like a person who likes his own calendar. Then, on a Wednesday, the soft turn came back one last time. She left a paper bag with my favorite bakery's name on my porch. Inside, cinnamon rolls and a note in her neat hand. I don't expect anything. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for not respecting you. I miss the quiet with you. If there's any chance. I ate the cinnamon roll because I'm human. I didn't text her. I put the note in the trash and recycled the bag because there's symbolism in doing both. Cleaning sweet with sweet and throwing away what looks harmless but keeps you stuck. Then I called the locksmith to rekey the back door because adults close loops. A week later, I saw her at a grocery store. She was in sweats, hair up, scanning the markdown bin like me. She spotted me and froze. Then she pushed her cart over. "Hi," she started. "Hello," I answered. "How are you?" she asked, voice small. "Better." I looked at her cart. "You okay?" She nodded too fast. "I'm staying with my parents. Temporary. Right." I glanced at my watch. "I'm grabbing dinner for two." Her eyes flicked to the second steak in my basket. She swallowed whatever argument she came to make, and I was grateful. We stood in a quiet aisle that held kids' cereal and adult cereal and every kind in between. The overhead speaker bled a song I'd heard 1,000 times. I waited for her to throw one last jab. "I shouldn't have said that thing at work," she told me instead. "It was cruel." "It was honest," I said. "About where we were." She nodded. "He wasn't," she stopped. "It doesn't matter." "You don't owe me a script," I said. "We both know what we did and didn't do. I don't run backward." She looked at me for another second like she was testing if the door cracked even a millimeter. It didn't. She gave a little smile that didn't touch anything real and wheeled away. At home, Madison poured 2 glasses of water while I salted the steaks. She watched me move around my own kitchen like I belonged there. "You okay?" she asked. "Ran into a chapter," I said. I kept walking. "Good," she said. "There's a movie on I want to hate watch. I'll provide commentary." "Deal." We ate. We ribbed the movie, not each other. We didn't perform for anyone. "You want a neat ending? I'll give you the ending I earned." The day after the grocery aisle, my ex called from a new number again. I let it go to voicemail. She said she had interviews, that she was taking a step back to rethink. She said she wished me well. The message was measured. Finally, the professionalism she flaunted at work showed up in real life. Maybe that's growth. Maybe it's a script. Either way, it's not my story anymore. I sold the extra SUV we bought for weekend trips we stopped taking. I converted the extra bedroom into a small workshop with a workbench and decent lighting. I told Nate to bring over any someday project he was avoiding. He did. We built a coffee table that didn't wobble and poured 2 iced teas when we were done. Mrs. Patel waved from her driveway and yelled, "Look sturdy," like it was a moral trait. In a way, it is. Madison and I drove to the coast one Saturday in my old truck that doesn't care about anyone's title. No schedule creep. No running late text. No quiet blade slipped between ribs disguised as a joke. She rested her hand on the center console and hummed to a song from college. Simple, not cinematic. That's the point. People who knew us together do a thing where they look at me like I should explain. I don't. When they push, I say, "We ran out of respect." That's the only line that tells the truth without turning anyone into a cartoon. Some nod. Some try to argue me back into the old life like it's a sweater I forgot at their house. I leave it there and walk to my car. There's a last piece you want, I can tell. You want the last word. Everyone wants the last word. Here it is. When I dropped the signed papers at the office that day, I tucked a small note inside the envelope to her. No threats, no insults. Just one sentence. "May your next team laugh with you, not at me." That's the closest I came to a speech. After that, it was actions. Split accounts, rekeyed doors, canceled standing plans, blocked numbers, changed locks on my time, not in a panic. I didn't torch anything. I turned off the lights and left. Her power was always comfort. access, status at work. She lost all three with one sentence in a glass room and the decisions I made after. I won't pretend I didn't feel the sting. I'm not a machine. But pain doesn't excuse pretending. I live cleaner now. Not richer in money, though that too, but richer in sanity. My house is quiet, my calendar is mine, and my woman looks me in the eye and means it. That's the story. No happy violins, no soft focus. Just a man who decided the joke was over and had the nerve to end the show.